Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Azuka here, bringing to you another video for Conqueror's Blade, published by Chorus Interactive. This is the update log for January 16th. So we have our regular maintenance time for ABAC, January 16th, 1400 to 1700 UTC plus 8. EU and AMS, January 16th, goes at 0700 to 1000 UTC plus 1. Maintenance is expected to be 3 hours. You're going to get bronze coin, 8,300 honor, and 15 unit medals as compensation. So we have the rotation for the attire chest returns. We got the Sakura Kusine, Kusine, Kusine? I said Kusine, Kusine, and the Ascended General. So the two attires for the legendary hero horse attire, the Omen QB, and the legendary hero attire, Lords of the Sand, make their return in their respective chests. Obviously, this goes from the 16th after maintenance to the 30th before maintenance. As you can see, I really do like the outfit for this one, and especially in game. Um, the legendary glaive that came out with this one, it is still my most favorite out of the legendary weapons because of the special effects are just so unique and they're not as oppressed, like they're not so um like visually heavy as some of the other ones. Like it is like black and white kind of thing, but the yin yang glaive thing, absolutely do love that one. I think a lot more of the weapon effects needs to kind of be styled after the kind of like the yin yang thing. Otherwise, tone down the effect saturation. But besides that, we also have rotation of progression packs. Interesting. So pass 5-star units pack special unit special packs now available. Wow, I don't know why I couldn't read that. So we have Infantry 1, Medal Battalion, Retiari or Orochi Samurai. Number Infantry Unit 2, Solidars, Varangian Guards, Shashins. Cavalry units, Keshis, Chevaliers, Yanyudao Cavalry, and the ranged units, Yakineni Siphonationes, and the Houndsmen. Um, Honestly, first one, I think Orochi Samurai is going to be interesting because they're going to get buffed. I will talk about that later. Number 2, Solidars, obviously best choice. Cavalry, Yanyudao's unquestioned, though I think Chevaliers could be fun just because they're gimmicky. Otherwise, Siphonario is just for consistency, and Houndsmen because they're fun. So this is the limited time available, goes from the 16th all the way to the 13th of the 3rd. I believe that's March. So after maintenance, before maintenance kind of thing. Now, we do have the Sparta Season Doctrine Challenge event going live, which is a bit early, I think. Normally they wait a little bit longer. They wait normally a little bit longer than this. But anyway, access the Doctrine Challenge via F5, complete challenge quest to earn new season doctrines and past season doctrine selection boxes. So we got the Heliot Auxiliary Artisan. Supply point reduces damage taken by allies by 20% and increase their movement speed by 20%. Honestly, the 20% movement speed is already amazing. I think the allies taking reduced damage by 20% is too strong, especially for a 70 cost unit, but not that you would ever actually bring it because their combat capabilities are so goddamn low that in a equal number fight, you're just basically dead weight. But maybe you could take advantage of this 20% damage reduction. It is still quite strong. Don't don't underestimate 20% decrease. It will bite you in the ass, but let alone the movement speed one will be I think the movement speed one will be probably the most interesting one as people move back and forth. I don't think anyone actually likes bringing the Helot auxiliaries. They're just trash. Um, Even though there are some good things about them, they're just not worth bringing at all. Their combat capabilities are just way too low, even if for their costs. Like it's it's no good. I don't know how to explain. I don't know how to like express like how bad this unit is. Even if even if it was just tier 3, I would not bring this unit. If it was tier 2, maybe I'd bring this unit as a joke. But no, you don't have tier 2 games. Anyway, we got the Lyconic Javelins gel form. So this one gives plus 300 HP, plus 5 movement speed, and plus 5 damage dealt. My goodness, is that overloaded as? But regardless, the HP itself is actually really tiny. Oh man, hair in my mouth. I think it's less than 2%. The 5 movement speed, good. The 5 damage, just straight up extra damage, not bad either. Would it is best in slot? Probably not. Um, but again, it is still quite a strong doctrine. It has a lot in it, but again, not as strong as the next one, the Spartan Chosen Mountain Crusher. Spartan Vengeance gains plus 15% block breaking value and damage. This is hilarious because the attack is unblockable, and the damage itself, that's 15% increase in damage on an attack an ability that does most of its damage. So yeah, making Spartan Vengeance even stronger, like that 15% increase, I think that's the best in slot, and definitely something you want to take because they're basically as tanky as they need to be during Spartan Vengeance or their abilities. Just outside of their abilities, they're a little bit too squishy. Um, but it is kind of like going to it, sorry, if you guys haven't realized, Spartan Chosen has kind of pushed their way straight into this meta. They're really strong in the infantry meta, and they're basically OP during Spartan Vengeance. Once that ends, you're kind of dead weight. It's a very jarring thing. This is basically IPGs all over again. They've got a really 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 OP gimmick, but the downtime between the gimmick is what kills them. So at the end of the day, I think Spartan Chosens are very strong right now, and I hopefully think that they're going to fix or balance them correctly. Though there's a lot of things to balance. I think this coming in strong is a good thing for them because more people will use them, and the more people that uses them, it is just better marketing. But anyway, stage 4, 5, and 6 all are past season doctrine selection box times 1. Now we have complete up, so you can complete up to 30 challenge quests for free. Every 5 completed quests unlocks 1 stage rewards. Oh, no, sorry, I take that back. It says complete up to 30 challenge quests, but the Doctrine challenge quest only includes 20 challenge packs by default. Warlords who have an active premium account can unlock an additional 10 quests. Doctrine challenge quests cannot be completed via sovereign payoff. Again, good. I think they need to be a little bit more. Uh, I think they need to be a little bit more forgiving with these past selection boxes because honestly, there is more and more doctrines being put into these selection boxes than you can get. And essentially, the wider that valley becomes, the more difficult it is to kind of claw back your way through some of the stuff that is very important to certain units. Um, I can't think of some on the top of my head, but I honestly, not having a reliable access to doctrines as a progression point is very bad because if you don't have access to certain doctrines, you are literally going to be outclassed. So challenge time is 16th of January all the way to 30th of January at midnight. Huh, interesting. Claim reward period is 16th of January after maintenance all the way to the 3rd of February midnight or something. Hmm. New doctrines added to the past season doctrine selection boxes. We got the Restiari Tidal Assault. Tearing Strike increases the damage of raw powder by 15% to targeted units within 15 seconds. Swine Feather's March Order increases movement speed by 15% after deploying Brace. Buff disappears after resupplying at a supply point. Lion's Roar Crew Guard reduces the cooldown of defensive shooting by 3 seconds. System adjustment and optimization. So we have territory war adjustments. Optimize the season settlement rules for Legion members participating in defending the regional capital during the season will receive the uncommon quality title season name dot volunteer during settlement. I think that's a great idea just to keep something, just to have a title just to prove that you were fighting in a particular season. If the Legion successfully defends the regional capital, participants in the defense will receive an upgraded epic quality title season name time dot Legion. Hmm. Though it's only epic quality. I think like yeah. Yeah, I think that would be fine. Again, it's just an embellishment kind of thing. Thermopylae. Since the opening of Thermopylae, countless Spartan warriors have fought valiantly, recreating heroic epics at this legendary fiery gates to provide generals with an enhanced experience of this intense historical battle. We will adjust the Thermopylae event mode this Thursday. New rules. Oh man. Hero equipment will be provided by the system with a default leadership value of 800. All units, including Spartan season units, can be used. That is incredible. With units set to max unit level, and mastery equipped with doctrines. Although I think equipped with doctrines should just be like generic base doctrines. Maybe throw in a couple of unique ones if you really think it's important. But honestly, I think just generic doctrines are probably all right. I wouldn't like them to be fully doctrined out. The fact that they are mastered bring me to believe that certain units should perform, like certain masteries um should be being thrown in here. So definitely you're going to be in that zone where Iron Cap scouts are just going to be really really strong. Maybe the heavy prefecture cavalry are going to be a bit gimmicky. Obviously, men-at-arms are no good without the +1 stamina, and again, just basic durability increases, but they could still do well. The sorry, the Samachian Paladins will definitely do really well. I'm just wondering whether or not baseline they're strong as Wu Wei. I think it's around about a 60-40 where right now. If it's if I'm thinking correctly, I think it becomes about a 70-30 in favor of the Wu Wei after the nerfs. But anyway, we also have siege artilleries will be provided by the system. Attackers can use 2 pieces and defenders can use 1. No point not to use them. Obviously, all of the trial artillery is going to be of rare quality. Excellent choice. Don't give us epic quality. Epic quality is just going to blast away an entire army. Up to 3 players can form a team to participate in the event. Um, I don't like this. I like to play with as many people as I can. So I think since it's still a 15v15 kind of scenario, ah, yeah, give or take, give or take. Again, restrictions like these, I think, are unnecessary in high population because if you have high population, you just throw in 3 teams of 3 against each other, and it'll be fine. But sorry, 3 teams of 5 against each other, so that'll be fine. But in the end, however they see the matchmaking, I really do think that like some teams are better than others, and some teams are just smashed together just because. So yeah, adjusted the route in the dock area at point B, adding a path leading to the dock supply point. I don't think anyone. I mean, like the attackers are gonna love this. Coming in from 2 directions makes it very. I think this will definitely kill the B point hold. Some people defend the B point. Opening up the B point like this will definitely crack down on any B point hold. As you can see, the Lion's Royal Cannons being situated here does get protected. I think, honestly, they could have easily just made this really susceptible to the trap section just by moving the ships around further. But ah, yeah, I feel I feel like opening up this gateway just I really don't like having to force a map change. That just opens up avenues and forces the attackers off the point, because what ends up happening is that you're going to create a line in the back section here, and it's just going to be easy to hit everyone again. So they're just trying to push people out of this pocket, and that's about it. You, again, could have done the same thing just by moving by moving the fire arrows around. Opening up this pathway just means that you're just going to get a lot more back charges through. Or, I mean, like, infantry comes through here, cavalry comes around, and it's just smash, smash, smash. So, I mean, I like hard points. I honestly do like hard points. I like to force a fight. Sometimes I don't like having to switch from one side to the other, to switch to the other side to the other. Sometimes I just want the enemy to fight me. So I like hard points like the B point current, because you have to come through here and people will have to fight. And it's fun because enemies feeding through, you're feeding through, but because your supply point is here, you can feed more troops in through. So, um, I think I think the most terrible thing about this is that it's an uphill kind of walk, and I think they severely nerfed the fire arrows from like their release version. So I know I've talked a little bit too much about the Moppalai, but it's map changes are very important because they dictate how maps are going to go. So you're not going to defend B point anymore. You're going to defend the A point and you're going to defend the base point. And essentially, if defenders successfully defend the A point, I mean, defenders are probably going to have the best advantage at A point because it is not very it's not very trebable. And I say trebs, but I mean the fire arrows one. And the avenues in, although there's a lot, it's a bit windy, so cavalry don't particularly have any many good avenues through, but there are still two main lanes, well, three technically, but there's three lanes where the cavalry can come swinging through. Otherwise, they're kind of like shifting and turning through the buildings. But regardless, I do think cavalry needs to be toned down, and that's just me. But I like a lot of the infantry fight currently in the meta, and I don't want to keep getting smashed by cavalry. I just want to keep fighting infantry, even though it can be a little bit monotonous sometimes when you have a lot of defensive units and neither of them are killing each other. Just today I had two ISGs just kissing each other, just doing nothing. They were just like, I'm pretty sure, I'm pretty sure two different units came up, died, and the ISGs were still fighting each other, and it was really funny. Um, but yeah, that is the update log. We also have a different we also have a different mastery and balance adjustment announcement, which will again be part of the update coming. And of course, they retain a lot of what was in the PTR, some changes, and I'll go through them one at a time. Then we got new unit masteries. Smachian Stalwarts, Node 1 plus 100 slashing defense, Node 2 plus 100 piercing defense, Node 3 plus 420 health, 4 plus 200 plus 25 block recovery, 5 in brace state. Brace attacks cause stagger and deal 15% increased damage. I don't like the fact that they use stagger in this case. It should be daze, but take it as you will. The classification for CC should be daze, knockback, knockdown, thrown, choke. Those are the 5 main CC types in the game. Oh, sorry, I forgot concussion as well. Those are the six main. Whoop, those are the 6 main CC types in the game. Yeah, daze, knockback, knockdown, throw, choke, concussion. Take 30 less damage from cavalry, plus 300 damage against cavalry. I don't think this is enough to kind of make them actual cavalry counter, but I do think this is enough to actually make cavalry inefficient to take them out. Node 8, in brace stance, every 5 hits trigger a Devout Strike. I don't know why they changed it from Pious Strike to Devout Strike, increasing damage by 30% and knocking back units 1 unit at most. But yeah, it's sad that they nerfed Node 8. They kind of buffed. I think they buffed this. I think there was 15 before. So personally, I think it was fine having it trigger every single time. I think Pious Strike was going overboard with the CC amount, but it was good. It was good. It actually worked properly because units that, well, again, units that weren't CC immune were really having a struggle time to get on top of the stalwarts, but that was a good thing. Shield units obviously just went smashed right up against the stalwarts, and of course, CI units are just going to break right through them. It's not a bad thing as well because the knockback was quite limited in how its application, how it was applied, only being applied through their basic attack and didn't apply during their brace kind of ticks. The damage is still going to be worryingly low. I really think they needed to push the damage up further. We're sitting probably after all of these things at around about a 1300 damage. If you want to get these guys in an adequate spot in kind of like the damage section, because the damage section is probably more important. Otherwise, you just make them have an unbreakable block by giving them CC immunity. 1500 to get baseline should be the area where they start becoming efficient. But if I was to really push it, I think they could go as high as 2000. I think 2000 should be the upper limit before the damage becomes too crazy. But yeah, the damage is going to be still pretty low. There's a lot of units that just will not care getting hit by the stalwarts, and um, I really wanted these guys to have a better mastery slash rework. And I mean, like, I put a lot of effort into a suggestion I did. I can see that they took my suggestions with the anti-cavalry thing, but in the end, they just didn't do anything. They haven't changed any of their weaknesses, which is one of the things is that they can't pivot when they brace. Not pivoting when they brace makes them completely inflexible, and once they're engaged, you can't change. Well, you can with advance, but they did nothing for the advance. That's still a 40-second cooldown for 40-second cooldown and way too long to reposition. And the ability itself is trash. Like considering that it basically does nothing. The only good thing it does is just repositions the unit. Moving on, we have Kev Tools. They got a mini rework, and well, sorry, they got big buffs, and I'll just say these are quite significant. So, Kev Tool Mastery goes base attribute adjustments. We have piercing defense increase from 300 to 370, slashing defense increase from 382 to 430, base health increase from 5365 to 6600, so 6600. I don't know why I keep changing how I say these things. Health per level increase from 75 to 105, max level health increase from 7,168 to 9,120. Now we have the mastery node details. 1 going to be plus 100 slashing armor penetration. 2 is going to be plus 25 burning damage from skills. 3 is plus 80 slashing damage. 4 is plus 2 burning duration. 5 unlock flaming slashes, a melee skill dealing a flurry of attacks that ignite enemies. Node 6 plus 300 damage against infantry. Node 7 take 300 less damage from buckler units. Again, this node is stupid. I think the specification to buckler units is just unfair and should just be infantry generic. Node 8, attacking burning enemies causes nearby enemies to accumulate burning value and increase damage against enemies ignited by the unit's skill. I think that's going to be a problem with mass burning, but if they haven't changed anything, realistically, the application of the burn is just stupid high, and it should cause a lot of issues to units that would be susceptible to it. And when I mean units that are susceptible to it, I mean units that are not CCI. Um, you can easily set something as tough as an ISG, which has Pillar of Flames, or Flame like it used to be called a Pillar of Flames. Bear with me. It's level 2 fire armor. I think it's called fire armor or insulated whatnot. But even these guys get burnt like crazy, and they do a lot of extra damage. I think it's 2 times damage against ignited units by their skills, but I could be wrong about that. They're relatively low damage output, around about 3,000. And I mean, 3,000 is pretty low. We're talking about units that normally, we're talking about units that have probably a base of 3,000, but hits like 5 units. These guys probably don't hit as many units. I think their hit limit is like in the zone of like 2, maybe 3. Um, maybe their flame slash is actually much more stronger than I think give it credit for. But uh, at the end of the day, the my major concern is Node 8 and just the fire. Just it, if it's working like how I think it is, and I'm probably wrong about this, but if it spreads the fire itself, that's going to be kind of crazy. It's really crazy because if it self perpetualizes, then you could lock up a lot of units really quickly and cause a very quick um, domino effect where one Kev tool slash would just cause one Kev tool flaming slash um, could just eat out just a huge chunk of the enemy. But it does have like its practical limitations. Again, CCI will definitely ignore this. The relative damage from the Kev tools is actually low, so we got that weird section where I think the Kev tools did get a massive buff, but they're going to be a little bit gimmicky. They're really going to be good against units that are just not crowd control immune, and that would be basically any infantry. But regardless, I want to see how these guys do on the battlefield. I did get a take a look. They're just still very squishy, a little bit unreliable, and um, I think that will prove to be so. That will prove to be so once we see it on the field. The balance adjustment for the Orochi Samurais. Adjustment: Disrupting Strike. Disarm duration increase from 0.5 to 0.8 seconds. Disrupting Sweep. Block breaking value increased by 200. While using Disrupting Sweep, the unit can now parry attacks. I wish it said block attacks, but again, they have this whole um, parry mechanic anyway, so they refer to it as parry. So yeah, I think it's just a consistency thing where it refers to um, one of their unit traits, which increases damage for every attack that they parry. We're not actually sure if this is even working, and we're not even sure if the damage increase is even significant. So it's probably something like 1% or something at this point. Disrupting Sweep can hit up to 3 targets. This is the first attack. While the second attack targets a more scattered area, it just means that it will try to hit as many targets as possible instead of many different targets as possible instead of just the same targets. I think this is a logic algorithm when multiple Orochi samurais are hitting the same units. They will probably prioritize units that haven't been disarmed or are not affected by the uh, disarmed control effect. Which again, it's another level of logic which wouldn't matter if you could limit the number of models in contact, but regardless, I think this is all right. Increase the damage of charge by 10%. Again, these guys don't have charge. It's either, I'm pretty sure it's called double strike or whatnot. I am upset that they removed the disrupting sweep changes, but again, the disrupting sweep changes got a lot of things that are more defensive orientated, and I think that's fine. Increasing the damage of the double strike was probably necessary because again, make disrupting sweep more offensive defensive kind of thing where it's a balance of the both, while you have the charge being your focus damage. And again, it's kind of necessary to kind of have this dynamic. You can't exactly make disrupting sweep just have all the good stuff. But I don't like the structure of Orochi Samurai is kind of over reliant on the stab. When you go top line, you just stab, you just stab, you just stab because you get the heal, you get the heal, you get the attack reset. I like Disrupting Sweep because it doesn't have the attack reset. It does have the heal though. Now with the defensive aspect on it, really, really good to just have them um, kind of break through, block, stab through. Or you can stab through, block the next incoming, or block the counterattack kind of thing. Obviously, as a collateral, Onimushas will also get this adjustment where Disrupting Strike increase the disarm duration on enemies from 0.5 seconds to 0.8 seconds when hitting with a skill. This, I think, should be removed to prevent issues with Onimushas going out of control, but Onimusha's damage is primarily too low to deal with a lot of the tier 5 stuff, so I'm skeptical, but I'm still worried. So they did reduce it down from 1 to 0.8 change, so Onimushas should be okay. They're not going to be crazy out of control, and I do hope that we don't kind of see the issue where the Onimushas can completely shut down units that can't block the disarm. Because do mind, this disarm does not care whether this disarm is a debuff. It doesn't care if you're CC immune because it's not an actual CC, it's a debuff where it disables all attack type abilities or all attack type. I say attack type, but like basically, there's a categorization of skills where it's not classified as charge, and uh, God, I don't know how to explain this in a straightforward way because I never thought about it like this. Basically, disarm will disable a lot of attacks. Basic attacks get disabled, a lot of skills get disabled, and once they're disabled, you're a sitting duck for 0.8 seconds. But the problem is that Onimusha's attacks are so fast, or maybe or maybe it's because there's so many of them that the debuff gets overlapped constantly and refreshed, leaving you zero gaps to counterattack. And I'll be honest, Sakura Onslaught has a 4 second can get a 4 second cooldown, and they can use and there's zero gap. There's a zero gap on the uptime of their attacks, and they could just constantly, making it impossible to respond if if how I think disarmed works ends up working. So I'm worried about just that particular scenario. Though there is a thing where you can have target saturation, and then you have a couple of targets being able to kill a couple of the Onimusha, and you just kind of trade that way. But in a one-on-one scenario, like if Onimushas outnumber you, you could literally just be unable to do anything. And this is worse because there's less things that can resist this type of debuff. Though simple block will just do it. You could just bring paladins and they'll just kick the ass of the Onimusha. But I'm just saying that like I like I like some of the other units that don't rely on block. I like my claymores, and like my claymores just sad at this point. They're tough to kill. They're not exactly easy to kill, but they're just really easy to bully. I know I talked a lot about the Onimusha, but I am scared. I am scared of them. I don't want them to be strong again, mostly because a unit that deals a unit that heals or sustains like this is quite oppressive. So we have the Swine Feather adjustment details. Triple shooting base cooldown reduced from 50 seconds to 40 seconds, and base duration increased from 12 seconds to 16 seconds. After triple shooting, the unit gains plus 30% damage for 10 seconds. Ammo capacity increase from 600 to 700. Really good changes. Again, consistency is really important with the Swine Feathers. You're not going to the triple shooting was just not worth using most of the time um, because at the end of the day, the cooldown was just so long that and the brief seconds of them kind of lining up really just made it really bad. And of course, when you use triple shooting, it also puts you at risk of not being able to put down your the stakes kind of thing. But I'm really liking I'm really liking that they didn't buff triple shooting in a direct manner. The base cooldown got reduced, so usability up. The duration got increased. That means more uptime. Again, uptime. Um, the buff after triple shooting is amazing. It just means that even after triple shooting, that 30% should carry them through. Again, triple shooting has something like a 30% increase in damage, so a 30% increase in damage afterwards just means that you've got a probably a 26-second zone, 26-second long DPS period, which means that you're dealing adequate DPS. And I say adequate DPS. You're not dealing crazy amount. You're dealing adequate DPS. Though once you add in the exclusive doctrine, it it could be a little bit crazy. But we will still have to see where they sit in practice. I don't think the Swine Feathers are any good in a scenario where there's a lot of shield units. Their block breaking capabilities is too low to be oppressive. Their damage is relatively to too low to kind of take advantage of the very short range that they have. So their accuracy is amazing though. So they have one of the best throughputs in the game. Like the accuracy is kind of like the one thing where it's just like I can't calculate properly, and they're crazy accurate, and they feel good to use. So um, that's how I see it. Unfortunately, again, still nothing for without stock. I think without gunstock seriously needs a buff. Um, it deals less damage, less accurate, less fire rate. It's this changing to triple shooting. It doesn't actually allow it to shoot a fifth time. I think it actually doesn't shoot a fifth time. While by default, I think you shoot 5 times. Yeah, by default you shoot 5 times. if you have the gun stock, but you only shoot 4 times without gun stock. I think that gets fixed with attack speed increase, but it doesn't get fixed with the like clockwork from the unit node when if you go bottom line, and that's really sad. That's really sad. That's still bugged. I've reported, well, I've told them multiple times, but I don't think they're listening to me, and it's kind of sad. Um, the stakes itself, again, a bit short-lived. They're really good at like being tanks. They're just really difficult to kill for no reason at all. And I do think that like um, infantry should be able to deal way more damage to the stakes. And obviously, instead of having high piercing defense, they should have really, really high cavalry damage reduction. But unfortunately, because it's piercing defense, the the stakes literally just gets destroyed by cavalry that doesn't deal piercing damage, which I'm mostly talking about is the Zhuangzi heavy cavalry, and even sometimes the Iron Cap scouts can just for some reason just yeet themselves into the stakes and kill them, though the stakes will kill them. Um, but then you also have the Winged Hussars just bowling right through because they have the 25% damage. They have the 25% minimum damage kind of thing. All kinds of crazy scenarios, and I mean, like, I think I want the barrier to be a barrier. I just don't want the barrier to just be a huge roadblock. I want people to smack the barrier goes down, and I want to be able to use the barrier more often. But unfortunately, because how things work, the barrier just does like the stakes don't last long enough pre-battle. Like you put it down, you set up, the battle engages, and no one runs into it and disappears by the time. Otherwise, you only ever use it in a retreating scenario where the enemy is just coming in hard and fast. Which is, again, you still get those scenarios. It's just that you never really want to use the stakes. I kind of want to use the stakes aggressively, but it's just like, just can't. I can't. I just can't. I only use them as a reactive kind of thing. Crescent monks. Adjustment details. Base leadership reduced from 250 to 220. Big decrease. I mean, like, berserkers are 230, so base health increase from 13,524 to 15,633. Base slashing damage increase from 1,593 to 1,870. Block is increased by 450 to 650. I think this block increase was because of my thing, but it's it's kind of sad. It's kind of sad that they did this because increasing the block just makes the Crescent Monks harder to deal with. And in scenarios where it's just like, like the block itself is a double-edged sword. It's really strong while you have block, but it's awful once it's gone because you get CC'd. Um, so increasing the block kind of pushes them up a little bit. I think that the amount of block is still too low relative to the number of units, but at the same time, Crescent Monks are not wholly reliant on the block to be tanky. It's just about able to dish out the damage, being able to dish out the damage. So I personally, to make them a little bit more consistent, I would have just removed the block. If they were going to be superheroes, they were going to be superheroes anyway. Crescent Monk block breaking value per hit increased by 150. So the Crescent Moon, again, it's too slow. I think it needs to be way faster and and have a way better targeting algorithm than it currently has because it just basically hits air most of the time, unless you shove them right in against something. Deadly Epicycle slashing damage multiplier increase from 0.62 to 0.92 for attacks following Crescent Moon. Um, so what this is trying to say is that the Leap Slam, when you use Deadly Epicycle with the Crescent Moon, or you allow Deadly Epicycle to end, because once Deadly Epicycle ends, it automatically activates the Crescent Moon. Automatically activates the Crescent Moon ability or like attack animation. So it does a leap slam. That is getting an increase. The increase is only zero point 0.3, so it's like a 600 damage increase. It's significant, considering that that's probably the biggest damage out of their entire kit. But um, but yeah, yeah. Deadly Epicycle and subsequent Crescent Moon attacks can target +1 additional enemies. I'm not sure if I like the Deadly Epicycle getting the +1. The subsequent Crescent Moon getting +1, okay. Like, I do think I'm actually misinterpreting. I think I am wrong about that Leap Slam only hitting 3 targets. I think it actually hits way more than 3 targets now. And if it's actually changed to have the same hit limit as Deadly Epicycle, that Crescent Moon Leap Slam is literally the going to be the bane of every unit, because that thing's way stronger than the Wu Wei. It's way stronger than the Wu Wei brutal sweep per model, on a per model basis. Like, if you had the entirety unit of the Wu Wei versus versus the 9 monks, leap slam versus the brutal sweep will win. But on a per model basis, that it's kind of crazy if it is 7. Deadly Epicycle should be 6 going to 7. If that leap slam is going to 7, I'm a little bit afraid. And if the following up attacks for the Crescent Moon, it goes from 3 to 4, basically nothing. Very inconsistent with how many units it hits anyway. So does cause knockback. So there's that. Cerex. Adjustment is Shield Rush. The duration of the second and third charge increase from 5 seconds to 6 seconds. Just allows the third charge to come in better. Charge attack damage increase by 6% for each subsequent strike. So you got like 6% extra damage and 12% extra damage. Honestly, you could shove that up to 30%, and I still don't think Zeregs are going to be meta. They're very gimmicky and they're very easy to deal with. They're just too easy to bully. But we also have the block increase from 298 to 550, and the block recovery increase from 11 to 30. That is a good increase, and I do love that. I do love that actually came in. Zereg's probably still going to have a lot of other issues, but block is probably one of the biggest issues that would should have been rectified ages ago. Regardless, um, Zeregs are not a unit that relies on block anyway. I think this just makes it a little bit more consistent against polearm units, actually. So polearm units, watch out. Zeregs are going to beat your ass. Camel Lancers, adjustment details, added new tag, reservoir circulation. Camels restore 1% max health every 2 seconds. Basically the same as the Tundra unit. Sorry, the Armager's Endless Energy. I think it's still called Endless Energy. Not sure, but there is 0.25 upgraded to zero point 0.5 when the bottom veterancy, but these guys get it by default. Yeah, so we'll see. Base health increase from 15,142 to 18,525 per health per level increase from 100 and 96 to 2000 220 240. Sorry, holy shit, I'm bibbing my words right now. I don't know why, but I was just thinking the entire time. But yes, all of these changes actually allows camels to get 30,000 health. Someone proved this, that they can get 30,000 health depending 30,000 health. I'm not sure if the setup was a particular veterancy line or had doctrines and stuff, but 30,000 health camel lancers are just going to be hilarious. What is also going to be hilarious is the during barricade thing. Enemy cavalry within 7 meters triggers the anti-cavalry effect, causing horses to panic. This is a straight up oppressive aura. 7 meters within the camels is actually a pretty large radius. If you think 7 meters is around about um, I think 7 meters is actually quite. I think it's 7 meters is longer than pole arms. I think 7 meters is longer than pole arms, which is hilarious. Or maybe it is pole arm distance, but just imagine that, like, if you could imagine like a 7 meter radius around the camels, all horses will just be woo woo woo. Um, Absolutely hilarious. So cavalry, beware. Just if you're not CC immune, just stay away from camels because they'll just lock up your unit and you can't do anything about it. Optimize the attack and movement logic of charge, maintaining a spear wielding stance and slightly increase attack frequency. I said this before. This actual change is a nerf because it actually makes them miss a lot more, and they don't can't use and actually decreases their overall performance because of the phasing. So unless they straight up increase the attack frequency or the attack rate, there is no point on doing the optimization on the logic because it's an actual nerf when I tested it on the PTR. But we'll have to see. We'll test it out on in game. Companion cavalry, we got base leadership increase from 215. I'm sorry, from 215 to 230, and the mounted spear blade slowdown effect no longer affects heroes. Really great that it no longer affects heroes. Getting hit by that spear blade was cancer, and um, the leadership increase is probably not enough. Honestly, I'd push it up to 240, reduce their unit number down to 24 or 21, in fact. They're just way too good. Once you get the Swan Guard effect kick in, you're really fast. I mean, really fast. You do a lot of damage and just crazy efficiency. You're basically your only limitation is that your total damage potential is lower than traditional cavalry, but your reliability is higher because you hit less units but for higher damage. So it's kind of a scenario where like you can reliably hit less units for higher damage than more units for less damage. Like the Yan Yu Daos are kind of like in a little bit the same scenario where you don't go top line because your unit saturation is incredibly stupid. You already have a hit limit of 6. If you increase that to 12, the scenarios that you would take advantage of that is very small. So instead, you go bottom line, double the damage. Well, 25% chance to double the damage. So you end up with a better performance in a 1v1 scenario than it is if you go top line. But at the same time, if you only have one model and that model smacks you, my goodness, 12 of your units are going to get flown. So you get this weird scenario where it's just like, um, but yeah, like total output and total potential, like companion cavalries they've got a much harder limit because it's a low kind of 2-3 scenario, while a lot of other cavalry's got like 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, whatever. But these guys easily deals 10k damage with a single hit. I think the highest base damage I've seen fully like kitted out and stuff. I think I've seen a hit of like 13,000 damage, and that's not even considering random criticals or back attack damage. Random criticals do happen, but back attack damage plus 50%. That that attack easily would have that attack if it hit the back, it would have easily done um, 17, maybe 18,000 damage, and that's crazy. That's a crazy amount of damage considering that you think about the number of units that have that much health. You could probably count the number of units that have over 18,000 health on like one hand. You got the monks, yeah, you got the monks, the berserkers, the camels. Oh, you also have the Iron Cap spearmen, not the ISGs, which is surprising. Uh, and I think that's about it. Yeah, one hand. Though, don't quote me on that. There's probably going to be something I missed that probably has 18,000 health just for some random reason. So yeah, companion cavalry's got a nerf, not going to affect them very much. Still think that they're going to be the best cavalry for slot. Efficiency wise, just best. But highest potential, highest battle potential is still the Zwanji heavy cavalry. Those guys are uncontested at this point in terms of for like for just the best performance overall. For efficiency, companion cavalries are still going to be crazy. That large unit size makes them almost impossible to deal with one to one, and um, unless you're a dedicated anti-cavalry unit, you're just not going to trade into these guys anyway. Any well, you're just not going to trade into these guys very well. That being said, you also got the Samajin Paladins, which were notoriously good against cavalry, but they weren't efficient against cavalry. They would just trade with you. Though there were some scenarios where, for some reason, Paladins like were in the optimal position that cavalry just came in one by one and they just all got killed. But the nerfs are normal damage was reduced by 15%, shield bash attack interval in shield stance increased by 0.5 seconds, target count reduced from 4 to 3, and range reduced from 5 meters to 3 meters, no longer causes stagger effect, and the battle prayer healing reduced from 350 every 0.5 seconds for 6 seconds to 350 every 1 second for 6 seconds. I really hate these two changes. I do think battle prayer's healing was the problem. I would have gotten rid of the damage reduction and the bleed first before nerfing the heal. But nerfing the heal should make them more consistent and should prevent them from going out of control. I don't like the removal of the stagger. This literally only removes the stagger from against warlords or against heroes, and they did this because people didn't like getting days locked by paladins, which I think should happen. It should happen. You're getting dazed by condottieri again. Condottieri power shield bash causes stagger. The counterattack from paladins should cause stagger, not their normal attack, just the counterattack. And again, the counterattack being the shield bash is actually part of their possible attack animation, so they could sometimes just shield bash you for no reason. So um, even if you don't hit them. So I really hate the fact that something that shouldn't be an issue is being removed. The slowdown effect, great. It's more annoying than anything, but I would be fine if it stayed. The stagger as well. It's more annoying for heroes because we don't like getting CC'd. but I think it's good because it creates a good interaction point for units versus heroes. And I think more units need today's heroes needs to have the possibility of knocking back heroes. Um, Wu Wei Mansion Guards also knock back heroes, though I think Brutal Sweep needs to be nerfed. I still think Brutal Sweep needs to be nerfed. I do not care the fact that it knocks back heroes. I just want the Brutal Sweep to be nerfed. Um, yeah, so I'm upset. I'm really upset about that. But continuing on for our final nerf of the set, we have the Vassal Longwoman. Adjustment details: steel spike arrows, uh, attack speed reduce bonus reduced from 30% to 25%. I don't know why I couldn't read that. Wall of Agincourt. Bonus damage from consecutive hits reduced from 40% to 30%, and the double effect against cavalry reduced proportionally. It just means that doubling of this effect is was 80%. Now it's going to go be 60% because it's being proportionally nerfed. But yeah, I honestly do not have a problem with current Vassal Longwoman. Vassal Longwoman again is a issue of high reliability and accuracy at extreme ranges. At at mid range, like with you're within roughly around about 80 meters of um, Vassal Longwoman, they're actually slightly worse than they're actually slightly worse than Imperial archers. And once you get into like musket range, they're basically the worst ranged unit in the tier 4 zone. Except if you count the Ashigaru Musketeers, which are the Ashigaru the Matchlock Ashigarus. I think they're called Matchlock Ashigarus. Maybe they're Musketeers, but that is the worst. That is the worst tier 4. They secretly buffed it twice, and it's still very bad. But yeah, um, I don't know why they nerfed it. Honestly, if you're having problems with Vassal Longwomen, the easiest and simplest solution is again to actually take advantage of a mechanic that you have in game that you don't use, or at least not for archers. Give them a penalty to damage based on how far the target is. Reduce their damage at extreme ranges. That's what you need to do. Because if they're doing consistent damage across the entirety of the range, you've got a really bad performance when you go within a certain range. So it's counterintuitive where Vassal Longwomen wants to always be as far away as possible to make advantage of their range because it makes them relatively safe, and their accuracy gives them a very very high reliability. I don't like that. I think every single ranged unit needs to be balanced based on their range. If Vassal Longbone are really good at long range, like they're still going to be good at long range, but you're going to have them deal less damage the further away they are. That way, you need to get them closer if you want to do adequate damage. Or if you want to do crazy amount of damage, go real close. Be right into the action. Shoot point blank. We're talking I'm talking like maybe 20 meters, maybe 30 meters kind of zone. That's where you go crazy, crazy, crazy. That's where you can have crazy damage. Kind of like how cannons are crazy at really short distances, but at a bit longer distance, they're not that bad. I say not that bad, but like I'm pretty sure everyone has gotten blown up from like a distance of like 80 meters, and they're just like, this is unfair. Um, I've been shot point blank by those things, and getting hit at 80 meters is not even comparable to not even comparable getting hit within 40 meters. That 40 meters, at 40 meters, they shredded right through my paladins. At 80 meters, they killed one. They killed one and injured like half my unit. Actually, no, I think they killed seven. or six or seven, um, and injured the rest of them. But if I was if I was in within 40 meters, they would blow a hole right through my formation. Anyway, that is all for this. That is all for this announcement. So this update log plus balance adjustment. A lot of disappointing with the results of the PTR. A lot of things I'm questioning. It's particularly with the Smashian Stalwarts. I'm not sure why they kind of semi-nerfed them. It's kind of like weird that their performance didn't seem very promising, and definitely not going to be promising in the field. So, still very strange about that. It makes sense that they're finally touching up on the companion cavalry, the Machian the Machian paladins. Vassal Longbowmen, absolutely not. Camel Lancers is hilarious. That if this still triggers basically a permanent CC lock on cavalry, that's going to be hilarious. And um, I'm more worried about the bug that is on the Orochi Samurais and them going out of control. They're definitely going to be better to use, a little bit more flexible, a little bit more adaptable, and I do not want to see Onimusha just beating up on my Iron Reapers, beating up my Silidars, or beating up my Zweihanders because they can't fight back. If that does happen, I'm gonna be mad. But at the end of the day, these are the changes that is happening. I want to know what your guys' thoughts are, and if you do get a chance to use either of the masteries, do tell me how well you do. I think the Kev tools could go a little bit crazy. I don't think they're going to be any good, but do tell me. Like, I'm really wondering whether or not someone can actually pull off having Kev tools be good. Smashing and Stalwarts as well. Why do you think that the mastery is pushing would put them into meta, or is it a dead mastery? Because we've had dead masteries before, and it it does seem like Smash and Stalwart is a dead mastery. But regardless, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. But other than that, my name's Azaka. Have a nice day. Bye for now.